Hello. So in the previous video we did a review from Jan 1st to Jan 7. In this video, I'm going to do it from January 7th to January 14th. Okay, so let's move to Jan 7 quickly. As you can see here, it was a break-even trade. What I have put in my, let's say, so I was in the trade from 946 to 956, which means market opened and maybe in like second candle itself I went into trade. Usually I don't do it. I usually get in the market open around 10, or if I am planning my entry anywhere outside New York session, or maybe pre-market or after market, then I usually go with my trend line strategy, not 3 candle rule, because I haven't tested it yet. It's if it is 946, let's see like how I got in. And it says 3 touch point trend line break. So let's go into charts. So this is Wednesday. I already have this touch point, so I have drawn this just so it's easier for us to understand. So as you can see, this touch point, let me go to 1 hour. This is how the MNQ chart looked, right? This is a 1 hour time frame. So I had my lines drawn from top till here, so which is our 7th, right? So it had 1 touch point, 2, 3, and it was breaking that touch point here. It broke that touch point and then it went downwards. So I took my entry on the base of 3 touch point rule. Let's move to my time frame. Now if I was in 1 hour, that's pretty much I can see that I would have in the money for some time, and then it was reversing back and we can see a huge downwards move. Two things come to mind. When I was doing my back testing, I figured it out. Whenever we have this huge trend line on the sell side, so the red trend line, it usually goes up and then reverse. That's how it always works. Now that is my bias, but when I'm in trading, I try not to get any biased in my way. So I simply took my trade on the trend line break, and it was 952, so would have been somewhere here in this candle. This PNL does not even make sense, so I'm just gonna move it here. I'm just gonna explain why I took entry. So this was the break of trend line at 9:30. My entry would have been somewhere here, right? Now usually if I were like, if it is 3 touch point, I try to take the entry in the break, and then sometimes there is a pullback. So in my head I'm thinking that if there is a pullback, I'll wait through that pullback. So if it is 3 touch point or more, I take the break. So this is break, so my entry should have been here, but it did not, and somewhere maybe like here I took my entry. So there was a break of a candle. I would have been entered somewhere around 9:45, 9:46. It's fine. So my entry was okay. I entered here and then it was going up, but I think I got out. And I do remember why I got out, because I was closely monitoring the trade and I saw a lot of pushback. So in my head, I was in fear, I was emotional, and I thought, and I was not confident in my entry. I know the reason why I was not confident in my entry, and that is because I did not backtest three touch point trend line strategy, even though I was trying. So that is something that I learned. I learned from Tory trades, but I did not backtest it. I was not confident in my entry, and I saw a lot of pushback. So I thought, okay, the price is not gonna go here, and I just closed on my break even. The learning from this is, do not take entries in the trade you are not comfortable, because then there is no point of you taking the trades. Either I would have gone with my three touch point rule, and if I would have, I, I would have entered somewhere here, right? And then it might have went up and then all the way down, and this is where I would have touched my stop loss. But I think, like, if I would have and keep my stop loss a little bit wider, just near my market open session, because usually in market open there is a lot of volatility and high chances that your stop loss is touch. So the another option for me would be like to just wait for some time until it is settled and then put my stop loss, because you can see like there is a huge candle, and if this candle goes all the way in your favor and then all the way like opposite direction of you, I will be afraid, because I keep a close watch on my charts, and I was trading with 5 lots, so that was a huge loss. That would have been a huge loss. This is the learning for me from this trade. I need to test my three touch point trend line strategy as well. So what's happening is, like, I take my trade. If it went in my favor immediately, right, I would have stayed, and then I would have maybe managed my risk. But whenever it goes against, I just cut my losses, because I'm not confident, I'm emotional, I'm thinking that, oh, it's not gonna work out, it's not gonna work out. And I think that comes or stems from lack of backtesting for sure, not trusting the strategy. For the three candle rule, which is something that not sort of a strategy, but it's something that when I was backtesting, that was one thing I was constantly seeing. And then I thought, okay, why not I take trade like that? And it worked. In backtesting, it worked. It is working right now, but I don't have much data where I can be 100% sure that it's working. But this is something I'm still trying, so we'll see. In this scenario, because it was near the market open, if I would have kept my stop loss somewhere here, right, like giving it a breathing room, or maybe not putting stop loss in the starting, and then I would have waited, there is a 30% chance I would have waited during this huge drawdown. So that's my learning. If I'm not confident in that strategy, do not take trade. If you take trade, give it enough breathing room and be there and let it hit your SL. If you think that your SL is too much, maybe take a small trade, right? So that's my learning. Let's go back to the, so we did 7th, let's go to the 8th. That's a huge red candle. And now our charts, well, let me update, right? So now, since the days passed, I would have updated my charts to this below would have gone somewhere here. So now this is how my chart looks when I wake up in the morning. And then we would have our another trend line here. This helps me to see like which direction the market is in, and I sort of have this idea, and I see touch, well, when I draw trend lines, I'm trying to see the high points of the chart and just understanding what's going on. The main focus of the trend line is to use it in a strategy, but right now I'm not. I'm just keeping the trend line to understand my chart's high point and seeing where the price is reacting, how it is reacting with the trend line, right? I usually take my trades on um, three candle rule, but because the trend line is on my chart, you can also say that it's a break or it's a retest. So here what I did was, you can see this is a two touch point trend line, right? And in the morning we had a huge downside move, and let's see what I should have done, right? Let's go from there. So during this huge down, it's back testing. I would not have entered here. In ideal case scenario, if I'm not emotional or if I'm just strictly thinking and sticking to my rules, um 8th is a no trade date for me, right? Because I think market was in consolidation, and yeah, we don't have anything. It was just up and down like barcodes. Let's see why I took the trade. So this is 8th. Entered on 36 and it hit my stop loss on 39. I had, right, this was my huge losses during that time, and I was working with 5 lots though. I could have sized down way earlier, but it was new. I'm still getting around, so it's fine. So I entered 11, it's at 36. Okay, so somewhere in this candle, I entered. And now, if there is a huge move downwards in my brain, it would have been, oh, like there would have been a FOMO of me missing that move. Second, also because whenever we have a big move, we sort of think of it being in continuation. So in my brain, I would have been thinking that, okay, it will continue. Third, I would have thought that let me enter little early so that I have a better entry and then I could take more profit. So all these three things would have been going through my brain, right? And here you can see a huge wick. So at one point this would have been a red candle, and I thought, okay, this is my entry. And because it was going down from two candles, so I would have thought, okay, it has finally came around and it is finally going into that direction. Usually anytime I enter, I wait for the candle to close. I did not wait for my candle to close. Let's also see here, 25438, I entered here. Two candles were in the down, like two candles were going down, and this was going down in my direction, and I entered and I thought, okay, this is my, this is it. And then I did not wait for candle close. Well, I entered in FOMO of missing out. Also, there is one thing that I can learn, that market open, it went up, it's going down, it's already 11, I did not find my entry, so there is a high possibility that market is going to consolidate the whole day, until unless you see some moves going down or up. Up would have been still a consolidation because it made a huge round move. So even if it made an upward move, there is a high probability that it is gonna go down. I entered in 438 and then I closed in 478. Well, for MNQ, this is a very tight stop loss. And maybe because I was working with 5 lots, this already suggests that the lot size is huge for me. I'm not able to ride the whole move, right? And that is the reason I decreased my size lot. I got it to 2 because I'm still learning, still experimenting, and if I'm not able to let it ride the whole move, then there is no point of me taking trades. That's gonna just make things more unclear for me. So that's where I took my huge loss. Now let's move on to the 9th. I took 2 trades. One was pre-market and one was after market open. This would have been 1, 2 and 3 touch point, right? And it was a pre-market. I think that's what I did. I would have entered when I see a potential. So at this candle I entered. First of all, it's a late entry that seriously comes to my mind when I see this. But the second thing is, I might have thought that after a retest, there is a possibility that I can enter. If there is a huge trend going on and you miss the first entry, I think the first entry is usually the A plus setup. But if you miss it and you decide to go on the second pullback, I think that's still valid. You can, because in MNQ trends are usually like longer. Sometimes if you can get a clear move, if not, still it's a day long at least. So you have multiple entries. So that's what I did. I thought that I missed my first entry, which would have been, so this is a 3 touch point trend, right? And it basically broke, it retested, and then it retested again. So somewhere around maybe here, if I want to be more sure. Otherwise, I think this, if I just take the break, it would have been this, right? And this is the opposing trend line. So if I want to cut my losses, I can by this. So this would have been something like what my chart looks at that point. And this was not a huge loss, so I would have still, so somewhere here I could have put my stop loss and I could have let it ride. Another reason I say that I'm not confident in putting stop loss in New York Open is because you can see at 9:30 the candle would have stopped me out. It hit my stop loss and then it just reversed again here as well. It hits anyone's stop loss and then it reverses. That just does not make sense, right? So New York Open, usually what I do is I get out of my trades because it's highly volatile and I'm not sure. Sometimes it goes in your favor and you're really happy. So this happens to me in my back test, and sometimes I'm very liberal. It goes into my favor and I'm really happy because then it's a huge profit. But in real life scenarios, and I think most of the times it's so volatile that it can hit your SL very easily. So even if you are in a right direction, that's just not gonna work for you most of the times. So I entered somewhere here, right? It went into my favor, and then around somewhere here I was out, right? So I got somewhere here, it was working, it made a huge move, and then I got out. Okay, two reasons. First, I think I saw my trade in a favor where profit was like more than $100, maybe like 112 or something. So at that point, and I thought, okay, that's good, it's going in my direction, and then it made a huge candle, a downside. I just panicked. Not panicked, but I was like, it's anyways near to market open and I don't want to give back my whole profit. So I got out, and that was a decision I made on the base that it already made this move here. So I'll show you what I might be a little confusing because I'm not saying it correctly. So I entered here, right? And then I'm here. This is the area of support and resistance. So it should maybe reverse from here, or in that scenario I would have thought that okay, it should not pass this because it just made a huge upward move, then it should continue, which it did not. And then I closed. In real life scenario, it would have hit my SL for sure, because we can see that it made another down candles. I would have gotten taken out because I would have put my stop loss somewhere over here. It would have 100% hit. So even if it was almost like a break even or a little bit above break even, but I don't think so. The way I handle the trade is good. Second, like my entry was late. I could have entered earlier. If not, then I should have just waited for the trend to get reversed. Let's move on to the second trade of the day, which I took. This is how my chart looks. Okay, and this is still a valid line. So because yeah, it made a huge move downwards. So this is a point from where the chart got reversed, right? So that's what we see. Now this is our market open, implying my 3 candle rule, and I'm still waiting for anything, but it did not. It just was sideways, and it made a huge upward move. When I entered there, my stop loss would have been somewhere here. So I entered here and I got out somewhere here. And I do remember the reason I got out, because there was a red trend line, which was a huge trend line from a big time frame, and during my back testing, I saw that it usually reverses from here. So goes a little up and then reverses. This time it was reversing immediately. So I just got out. I will show you my trade, but let me just update this. So now this would have been gone. So after this, my chart would have looked something like this. 9th Friday. So this is the one which I took at 8. The another one I took at 10:31. 1 or 2 minutes and I took my trade. But when I got out, I can show you. It's 13:41, so 1:41. Yeah, somewhere here I closed my trade. I was happy with this trade. There was a huge upward candle. In normal scenarios, I would have been afraid that it already made a huge move and then I would not have followed my strategy. But I did. Second, I waited for this red candle to form, and it's difficult for me right now because I'm still learning that. But what I understood was, because the market made a huge upward move, it is going to get that red candle. So I was prepared for it. I was not prepared for how long it was, and then I stayed for a long time. It was good. This is what I want, and this is how I want my trades to be. That if I entered, I executed properly. Sometimes it is not possible. Sometimes I'm way too emotional, but I'm still working on that. Important things that I'm working on right now is good entry and good exit. Even if it is stop loss or profit, my point is not to think about that or not to care. Just good entries and good exits. I did not take trade on 12th and 13th. I am not sure why. I don't remember that. Because it's 24th. We would have applied my 3 candle rule because that's the only one I have back tested till now. We can see here that on 9:30 it made a huge upward move. It sort of seems like consolidation in long time frame, but here we still have those moves where we can ride along. I would have entered here. It is seen that okay, it already made a huge move. Now there is no point of entering. It's better for me if I go into like smaller time frames and then enter there, but right now I'm just focusing on one thing. I would have entered here, and my SL would have been somewhere here. Yes, so it might have hit my SL, but to give it a breathing room, I could have put it here as well. If I work with one lot, I can do that. I can let it ride the whole move. I would have got out here in this candle, hopefully. So around 3. This would have been my good trade example, but I did not take the trade. This, oh my god, it's just up and down. It's better for me that I did not take the trade. But let's see if I did. So this is our 9:30 candle. I would have entered somewhere here. My SL would have been somewhere here. And then I think I would have gotten out here for sure, because I would have known, oh, it's a huge candle. If I see, I think previous date made a upward move. I might think that this is gonna go upward. I mean, this is just a pullback and then it's gonna go reverse. That's the other thing, that it got turned back from here. But this is what I would have thought at that point. But I did not take the trade, so there is no point of me saying anything. We progressed, and this is how my trend lines would have been updated. So would have been my another trend line. One more row here. Then there was a weekend. Let's move to the 14th. I took a trade on 14th, but I think one common thing which I am figuring it out is I get too emotional. Either I enter early, I don't wait for candle to close, or it's too late and I enter. There is still that resistance, I think, during this week, and that's why I'm not entering at right time. Please ignore all of this because this price movement has not been done yet. we can see that it was morning towards downtrend. Okay, so this is our market open, and the second candle and the third candle was here. Let's see what I did. This is the 14th. I entered at 10 to. I think usually I should enter around 10:15, right? That's what I usually do. If everything works out, then entered somewhere here. I'm sure that I did not put my SL just now because I was seeing how the chart moves. It made a huge move up and I stayed. I'm not sure how I did it, but I did. Then I was seeing that down momentum happening, so I stayed for this huge three candles, which is, I think, good. Then somewhere here I got out. First, so many things wrong with this trade. I entered early. Wrong. Now, if we move that aside, I should have stayed because I entered early. I saw this huge pullback, and so I thought that there is a fighting going on in the market, that people don't want price to go down, which essentially they did not. It turned around, but I would have still gotten out. And then here, I thought, okay, it's gonna go against me, so I got out in a small loss, but I should not have. Should have let it here. I would have maybe gotten out if I would have ridden all of these things. So would have been still a loss or a break even, but I want my trades to be, I'm able to ride it. Second thing is, I'm also working on catching it early whenever the trend reverses. That's all for now. This was my trade review from January 7th to 14th. Thank you.